Welcome, everyone. This is Pine Leaf Needles, and you're listening to DDO Player News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and here at DDO Players. Please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Draculetta.
Good evening, everybody.
And today we'll begin with our game news, and there is a hot fix to update 23. And what went wrong this time?
There was a lot that went wrong, and there's still a lot that there's some really strange bugs that are just now occurring too. But Mark of Death raid, the 20th completion list in that was not working. Players who ran it, it didn't get counted that you ran it for some reason. So that's fixed now, which if you raid, that's a big deal for you. They also fixed an issue that would cause some players to not be awarded loot from the end chest of the raid.
Oh!
Which, yeah, that would really tick me off. But luckily, that's now fixed. They also fixed several issues with some armors and other items not creating the proper cosmetic when using the Mirror of Glamoring. The important thing to know about this is that fix is not retroactive. So if you created something with the mirror and it did not work right, or you weren't satisfied with the resulting cosmetic, you can contact support either in-game or through the support.turbine.com site, and they will rectify that, but it will not automatically get fixed for you. I haven't actually done anything with the Mirror of Glamoring. I did buy one, but I didn't use it on anything yet because I really don't have any cool-looking armor yet that I wanted to use it on. There was also a problem with guild airships. Some of the keys were missing. That is now fixed as well. The Epic Orchard of the Macabre quest chain now offers some better loot once you run through that quest chain. See, two-handed fighting and two-handed weapon fighting are no longer mutually exclusive. Guess there was a bug with that. And heart seeds will now be offered to the eligible characters as a reward when you're running Epic Orchard of the Macabre. So just a few bugs, and then I know I haven't seen it on a known issue list or anything yet, but as we found out Wednesday when we were playing, and I've been experimenting with him a little bit as well too, the AI of the hirelings is totally borked up at this moment.
Well, not that it was exactly wonderful in the first place.
Yeah, somehow I think I hate to say it, but they've managed to make it worse than it was. It wasn't quite as bad.
That was quite a challenge.
Well, yes, it was, but they totally did that. And then I read on a blog today, and I apologize, I cannot remember which blog it was, that I guess some players are seeing rewards in chests doubling. When you open the chest, it's showing 2 of the same reward, but you can only take 1. So that's apparently another bug that creeped in.
Oh, you mean it's not the case of where you get 2 of them? Because I think I've seen that happen once in a while.
Right, yeah, it's just showing 2 in the chest, and you can only actually loot 1, and the other one still stays in the chest like you didn't take it. But if you look at your inventory, you actually have the item, but it's still in the chest, so...
Well, if you get the same number of rewards as you had in the past of actual rewards, then it's only a cosmetic bug.
Yeah, it's just there's just some really strange little bugs that creeped in, which, that's normal. That happens on updates, and luckily Turbine is jumping right on them, and they're getting fixed pretty quick because this hotfix came out, patch came out, and then the hotfix came out just a few days later. So I do give credit to Turbine for getting them fixed quickly.
All right. We also had a DDO community update where we managed to get something here at DDO Players that we haven't gotten from Turbine yet on Lotro Players, and that is a shout-out.
Yes, we did, and we would like to thank Cordovan, who was the community manager, and Turbine for basically getting the word out about DDO Players. We appreciate it a ton, and we saw some new followers on Twitter and a ton of traffic to the website right after this community update went up on YouTube, so it helps.
Of course, it also helps that DDO currently does community updates, while we haven't seen one in Lotro in a while.
Yes, and this has been the first one for DDO for a while too, so...
Oh, it has been?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'd have to look back and look, but it's been a while since we saw one for
Okay, let's
DDO.
face it. They have been giving a lot of news in their weekly broadcast from Twitch.
Correct. Yep. That's basically where all the news comes from is Twitch. But it is nice to see them still doing the community update videos, even though they're usually fairly short. It's nice to see that they still do them, and sometimes you get some news out of them that you don't get anywhere else. So, and you get to find out about a cool website like ours. So, hey,
And we also have some DDO store downtime on Tuesday, October 7th from 12:01 to 3 a.m. Eastern. That's a rather
yeah,
interesting time frame.
I couldn't figure out the 12:01. Why not just right at midnight? Why
Oh,
12:01?
there is a. Some people get confused when you say midnight. I know that midnight officially is the start of the next day, but there's some people who get confused by that and think of midnight as the end of the day instead of the start of the day.
Okay,
So
that
in
makes
many
sense.
places they say 12:01 just to leave out any ambiguity.
Right, and that's why I know
Yeah.
a lot of games when they're released, it's always at 12:01 a.m. You can
Right.
get the
Because
game too, because
and
technically that's Tuesday morning or whatever
yeah,
morning it is. For games and movies, it's always on Tuesday. But
yeah, it's and the other thing is that there have been some court cases where people have where they said 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. and the person argued that they thought they meant noon instead of midnight or something or the other way around.
so it's semantics, is what you're saying.
It is semantics, and to make sure that there's absolutely no ambiguity. Then we will head on to the store sales, and I am sure that there's something wonderful on sale, right?
Of course. Maybe not. The store sales for the week. Free sample October 3rd through the 9th is a greater remove negative level potion. You get one potion per account, so use wisely on what character you want it on. The coupon code for that is GRNLP2. Once again, GRNLP2. 20% off the following in the store: Monster Manuals, Slayer Count Boost, Creature Companions and Accessories, and the Companion Name Changes.
And that last one, I said, what the?
Yeah, so the moral of the story on that one is make sure when you name your companion, it's really what you want the name to be, or you're going to have to pay to change it.
Right, yeah, because it's not like in Lotra where you could just change them constantly at will or something like that. All right, so we'll head on to the site news for DDO Players News, and we'll begin that DDO Players News is now on iTunes. Yay, when did we finally get up there?
It was on Sunday evening, actually, that it happened. So it took us a couple days after we got submitted. It was fairly quickly,
All right, that's good.
which I was figuring it was going to take longer than that because the approval process usually takes a while. But apparently Apple was not very busy at the time and just squeezed us right through.
All right, well, I suspect that later in October and during the holiday seasons, it would have been much tougher.
Probably, yes. But there is a link. There'll be a link in the show notes to the iTunes feed if you would like to subscribe via iTunes.
And we also had our first episode posted, which was Roll for Initiative. And if you were listening last week, you would probably heard it. But if you are new, you just heard Cordovan's announcement or something like that and came here, then you might want to go back and listen to episode 1, where we have a little talk with Andang, who is the head director of the player site.
And Ending in the chat said usually it takes about 2 weeks to get approved on iTunes, and ours took a couple days. So yay for us!
Yay! Maybe because they were related to Lotra players or something. I don't know. We also have a new episode of Arcane Adventures with Dorbin Fizzlebeard, Chapter 2, and I shall call him Hypocrisy. And when you read it, you'll understand why. It is a wonderful series, and Drac and I have both laughed quite a bit while reading these things because you can't believe that going to Korthos Island could be so funny.
Oh, it's this series is amazing, and it keeps. I mean, I realize he only had 2 chapters out, but it's just getting better and better with each chapter, and his humor is amazing in this.
Yeah. Now, this is the person who has not played DDO before, but he has played Dungeons and Dragons before, but he's always played melee classes, and now he's suddenly decided to try to be a sorcerer. So,
Which
a
you can't get much different than going from a melee to a sorcerer. So
right, that is about as different as you can get.
all sorts of chaos is ensuing, which you can read about.
Right. So you can read about that, and there have been 2 chapters so far. I suggest you go to chapter one first because who knows? Maybe you'll be shocked and surprised on what happens on Korthos Island. Yes. So let's go to news beyond DDO. And the first bit of news is the rise of Tiamat, like the Dungeon Master's manual is being delayed.
Yes, they announced this just a couple of days ago. The quote from Wizards of the Coast was, "We know fans are eager to sink their longswords into this thrilling conclusion to the Horde of the Tyranny of Dragons adventure, but it is going to be delayed." They did some early test prints, and they just were not happy with the test print run, and it didn't match their quality expectations. So they realized players want the adventure, but they want it to be the highest quality product they can deliver. So therefore, it is being delayed.
Actually, is this the? I'm trying to remember if this is the first adventure where you actually go and fight against Tiamat.
Well,
Well, I think the end of Dragonlance does have you go against a
yes.
nomadic dragon, but I don't know if
I don't think it
it
was.
was technically Tiamat or not.
I think there. I wish I could remember the mod. There was a mod that it wasn't Dragonlance. It was just an AD&D that you actually did. I can't remember if you fought it. She was there, but I can't remember if you actually fought her or not.
All right,
So
maybe
this
someone
might
out
be
there.
yeah. I'll have to look that up and see if it was, but. Anyway, it's November 4th is the new date for that. And if your friendly local neighborhood game store is participating in the Wizards early release program, they're going to get it on October 24th. So it's just a couple weeks delay from the release date was supposed to be. But like I told you earlier, I think I'm kind of happy with Wizards doing this because, as we all know, these books tend to cost some good money. And I'd like to see a better quality product put out than having to download a bunch of errata or having to get reprints made and such as that. So good on Wizards for actually deciding to delay it.
All right, and we also have the Dungeons and Dragons Chronicles of Mysteria P3S, free to PSN Plus members starting on October 8th, which is in 2 days from now.
And I am so excited about this because I am actually a PSN Plus member thanks to a friend who gave me a Christmas gift. Shout out to him. If you don't know what the Chronicles of Mysteria is, it's if you remember the arcade games Tower of Doom and Shadow over Mysteria. Those were like 2 amazing stand-up arcade games that I can remember spending a ton of money in back when arcades were still a thing and people went actually paid quarters to play video games. Imagine that. Those were two
Imagine that, yes.
amazing games. They were kind of like Gauntlet, but kind of different, if that makes sense. Well, basically what they did is they have combined those 2 games, did a complete graphic overhaul on them, updated them for HD and the PlayStation 3 graphics, and they're amazing and they're awesome, and you can get it free if you're a PSN Plus member.
And since I'm not a PSN Plus member, I suppose I don't have to. Let's see. According to this on Steam, it costs $14.99.
Yeah, I was gonna look to see because I know it's out for the PC, and I was gonna see what the price was. And I have seen that go on sale on the PC as well too. It seems like the last Steam sale, I think it was like I want to say 750 maybe.
Okay, yeah,
I
fifty
almost
percent
bought it,
off.
but I didn't. Yeah.
All right, I'll have to see maybe the next time it goes on sale. I'll look into it and see if it's something of my something that I would like to have or not. Right now, I'm having trickier enough time to getting some DDO time in there.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Because for my DDO time this week could be summed up and just say that it was a small problem with my seventh level artificer, and which I was doing with Drac.
which I had never done that quest before, and it's like hilarious. That giant is just hilarious, and the wolf freaks me out. Spoiler alert, because it
Yeah.
changes. It like changes. It's like a different wolf every time you go back. And I pointed that out to you, and I'm like, "What's the deal with the wolf?"
Yeah, I still think it was just different spirits it was talking to. But I don't think I've ever been inside of that enclave before to even talk with the ones who give that quest.
Yeah, I had
So
mentioned that to you too. I had never been in there either. That was just one of those houses I never had was working on getting a favor with ever, so I never
right.
went in there.
Right. So Drac and I will probably be working on that for a little while. But Drac, I guess you could talk about what you did.
Well, besides the small problem with you, I took my level Rogue 9 back out into the Searing Heights, still working on that Slayer. Oh, it's gonna
Looks
take
like
me.
you're only got 100 left.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm at 644 or 750, so I'm getting there, and I need one more rare encounter, and I cannot find it anywhere. The only ones that keep popping are the same ones that I have, and I'm trying to find it on my own without looking on the wiki or anything. But I think I'm about ready to break down and look on the wiki. The same thing for the Explorer too. I'm missing two of those. I'm 12 of 15, and I can't seem to find any place. So I'm sure it's in a little nook and cranny somewhere that I haven't gone to. But I looking at my map, it seems like I've covered most of the edges because that's usually what I do for explorers. I usually start and I try to fill out the,
Yeah.
the edge of the map because I know a lot of the times some of the explorers are in like those little areas on the edge.
Probably. You got to remember those. The random number generator hates you, so it could be it wasn't active when you were
It
in the
does.
area.
You are correct, and this has been proven. It followed me over from Lotro. The RNG hates me there, and we have found out in DDO it is the same.
Yeah.
I don't know what I have done to make the RNG hate me so, but one of these days it's going to smile upon me. But until then, alas, that's what I have to deal with. My Druid Rogue, which is level 5. I'm running the Waterworks just for the Slayer. I'm 280 of 400 in there. And I actually finished the rare encounters off in there, but I need to hurry up because that one you only get the maximum experience until you're level 6, and I'm like halfway to my last bubble before I hit
Well,
6.
you don't have to level when you reach it. I don't think it counts you as being level 6 until you actually go to your trainer and
That's what I wondered. I wasn't sure about that because it seems like I finally have like a pattern down because the waterworks actually is not that big really, and I mean it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. But lot of the waterworks open up to other instance dungeons, and unfortunately the slayers don't count in there. Your monster manual kills count in there, but your slayer deeds don't. So I basically have a pattern down that I run through the waterworks. It takes me about, I don't know, 20 minutes to knock it all out, and then I go out and I wait about 10 minutes and I go in and I usually do 2 runs, and then that's enough kobolds for me for one night. I can only take their
because
yippings
Kobolds
for,
still hate you.
yeah, exactly. Can only take their yippings for so much. I got a level 2 fighter that I was running through Korthos Island with Mystery, who actually is going to start writing. When we were playing, she was actually talking about a series she's thinking about writing as a new player. So we look forward to seeing that. Hopefully, we ran the complete Korthos Island up to Misery's Peak. She had already ran Misery's Peak. She was just going back trying to finish off her Slayer deed, and I had created that character to run through with her. And in the process of doing that, she had mentioned she created a bard because she was interested in trying out the bard to see if it was sort of like playing a minstrel in Lotro. And I had suggested that I would. Yeah, and I told her, no, it's different, but you'll find out. I had suggested that I would create a different character to run through, and she had said, well, how's come there's a couple chests that you can't get to because they're behind a locked door? How do you get to those? And I'm like, you need a rogue.
Or an
And
artificer.
are an artificer. That's true. And I'm like,
Or there's a possibility a wizard with a knock spell, or
I prefer to say a rogue because I like playing rogue. So I'm like, I'll be
yeah.
happy. I'll be happy to volunteer my services for you. So I rolled up instead of jumping to level 4, which I can do, I just did a level 1 and set foot outside. And now I'm waiting for her to do that. So we're going to run through everything. And she had said she just created the bard, so she hadn't done anything in there yet. So we're going to do the complete Korthos Island inside and the wilderness area together. So that will be fun with a level 1 newbie rogue. And I'm actually trying out the new tree that is available to rogues. So I'm not going to put any points into anything but the new tree. So I want to see how that plays. So I will report back after I play that for a couple weeks.
Okay, yeah, because I haven't looked into the new. I don't think I made a rogue yet. So
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think you have a rogue, do you? I usually cover the
actually, well, I
rogues.
might have one, but I might have one there somewhere. But seeing how I usually do my trap disarmaments with an artificer,
Right, yeah, because say you usually play the artificer a lot. So, and
right?
so what else did you do this week,
Well,
or is that all you did? Was just the small problem
well, yeah,
after?
well, a small problem, but I do have a little item that happened in a small problem, which is that there's one point on it where we were jumping over these, I guess you could say, peaks. So these rock structures, sort of like you see in the Badlands of Montana, where we have these tall peaks. You got to jump from one to the other without falling down. And it was there when we're having this item in here that I finally realized that I've been wearing a ring of feather fall. And I think for most of the time, I was like, why on earth do I keep on wearing this useless ring? Believe me, when you run into a situation like we were on Wednesday, now I know why I wear that ring of feather falling. Yes, it comes very handy in situations like that. Now, Drac was saying, "Oh, don't worry, the fall won't kill you. I didn't take too much damage." But and there I did forgot. I of course completely forgot that Drac is half rogue, and rogues. I don't know if it's true in DDO, but I know in Dungeons and Dragons. And originally, they take less damage from falling.
Yeah, my dex and my tumbling are
Yeah,
kind of
you're
outrageous. So yeah, I usually don't take
right.
too much damage in falling.
Yeah, Dex that, and it's possible that and I know that rogues have an innate reduction in how much damage
Yep.
they take from falling. So all three of those together are going to say, you're not,
That's usually why I don't mind falling. And you're like, I don't want to jump down there. That's too high. I'm like, oh,
right?
it won't hurt you. Oh, yeah, it might hurt you. Never mind.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, I had a ring of feather falling, so it wasn't much of a problem. And that is it for what I did in DDO. I was spending most of my other time in another game by Turbine.
And that was now that I think about it, that was the one where the final boss we had to get to, I couldn't make it up there because I kept missing the jump, but you could make it up there.
Right, I could make it up because I think it was the ring of feather falling was causing me to fall down slower, but I had the same vertical length, so therefore I was able to get to the next ledge before.
Yeah, because I had watched you because you went in front of me and you made the jump, and I had said it seems like you were jumping out further than what I was. When I was jumping, I wasn't hitting the other ledge. I was just falling straight down. And you're like, well, it's not that hard. You just jump. And you just like jumped right over to it.
Right. I can't remember whether that was before or after. That's right. It was after I realized I had that ring of feather falling. So that came in very handy during last week's adventure, and that explains why I wear that thing.
It did come in handy. I never thought one of those would come in handy, but until you used it, I will admit now they do come in mighty handily.
Right. Well, now we'll go on to donations. We did not receive any donations, but we would love your support. To help support DDO players, simply go to the donations page where you can help support the podcast on DDO players and also help support the site. And you could, for a $5 mention with the donation of $5 or more, get a mention on the DDO players news. As for feedback, well, since we just got on iTunes, no shock that we don't have any iTunes reviews yet, and we don't have enough comments yet for featured comments. But if you'd like to leave a comment on any of our articles, you could be featured in one of our featured comments. And we have not yet gotten any emails. Hopefully, we'll get those soon as we are a new podcast. So I can understand why we don't have too much yet in the area. If you want to contact us, you can email us at podcast@ddoplayers.com. And you can also follow us on Twitter. The Players Alliance at Players Ally, DDO Players at DDO Players, Draculetta at Draculetta_72, and Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles. And the Players Alliance live shows on Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lojo Players News, and you can join us for the live shows at ddoplayers.com/live. Thank you for listening. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to loot those treasure chests.
And I would also like to add, I didn't put this in the show notes. Sorry, Pine Leaf. I'm throwing a wrench in the plans here. I would like to thank DDO Cast, which is the actual longest running DDO podcast that's out and available. The last two episodes, they have mentioned DDO Players and our podcast. So we just want to say thanks to them as well for the shout out.
That must be the treasure chest that we forgot to loot.
It could be.
Yeah, I almost hit that finish button, but you did it so that we could loot the last chest before hitting the finish button. Good night.